All right, so if you're watching this video, then more than likely you have received and started to set up your new MacBook Air or your new MacBook Air M1. All right, you're going to find that there are several differences between this device and your old device. Many of those changes are more internal than there are external changes. But this video, we're going to try and address both sets of things that have changed. All right, for one thing that's drastically different about this device from your old device is that there is twice the amount of storage. Your old device had 128 gigabytes of storage capability for storing things like documents and the system and the applications that you were using. So you now have twice the amount of space that you had before. You have a much more powerful processor, and so you're going to find that things are going to run a bit faster and will not be bogged down regardless of how many things you happen to be having open at one time. Yeah, much faster processor being used in these devices. Another thing that's different about the device is the display. Our Retina display that we have on these new devices allows for millions of various colors. You're going to find that it's very sharp, very crisp, very pleasant looking as far as a device goes. One other thing that's kind of a combination of both things that are on the inside and things that are on the outside of this device is that you have the ability to use Touch ID, just like you would on an iPhone. This is great because, if your device goes to sleep, you don't have to necessarily wake it up by typing in your password and typing out your password 20 times a day. Instead, you can just place your finger on the power key and it will open the device back up. So I'm going to show you how that gets set up. If you haven't done so already, you're going to go to System Preferences, and you will see in there the icon for Touch ID. So I'm going to click that. Now, I already have a finger set up. If I wanted to set up another finger, I could do so, in which case I'm going to click the little plus sign. I'm going to type in my password for my device. All right, and then I'm going to place my finger or let it rest onto the power key. And what I'm going to do is watch the little fingerprint icon there and wait and keep on tapping the power button until it's all red. And now I'm going to try and get the edges of my finger, and I'm going to keep on placing my finger on that power key until it tells me I'm done. And now I can click done. And so now I have two fingers set up. Okay, so we can see also in this window what we can use Touch ID for. And the very first thing is I can use it to unlock the Mac. I can use it for Apple Pay. I can also use it like in the iTunes Store or App Store or for Apple Books. And I can use it to do password autofill as well. Okay, so it's kind of a nice option to have rather than have to constantly type in my password. Okay, the next thing about the new device too that's more internal than external is the battery life. You received a new charger to go with your device, and you probably had to plug that in the very first time you used the device. But what's wonderful about these M1 MacBook Airs is that you can charge it up and it should last, depending on how you're using your laptop, should last anywhere between 15 and 18 hours before needing to be recharged. So in a way, depending on obviously, like I said, on what you're doing with the laptop device, you could have it all charged up Sunday night and bring it into school, and you may not have to plug it in again to charge up until Wednesday. All right, so this is a good thing. Nice long life, so you don't have to spend quite so much time being plugged in. And along that lines, why it's nice to not be necessarily plugged in all the time is you do have a limit on the number of ports available on the laptop. As you probably know, the only ports that you have are on the left-hand side of the screen. You have two of those USB-C ports. And on the right-hand side, you have a headphone jack. Okay, and that's all you have for ports. Now, what you received when you got your new M1 Macbook Air is a dongle. And on that dongle, we have the HDMI port. You'll probably use that for connecting to your Promethean board. You do have a traditional USB port. So if you have any thumb drives or any other devices, that you want to connect to your laptop, you'd probably do that with the traditional USB port there. And then you also have another USB-C port as well. So if you purchased a new thumb drive that has that USB-C kind of connection, then you can use that as well at the same time. So you really are limited to the number of other devices that you can be connected to, and you may not necessarily want to have your device plugged in, taking up one of those USB slot ports. All right, you might want to keep that open for other things that you want to connect to your laptop. Okay. The touchpad that you have here, it has what's called Force Touch, which gives you kind of more precise cursor control. And it allows you, if you're using a particular drawing program, it will take a look at the amount of pressure that you're putting on the touchpad. So like, for example, if you were using an airbrush kind of thing in a drawing program, an airbrush tool, if you're pressing down hard on the touchpad, then obviously you're going to make the spray come out faster. All right, so that's kind of a nice function of the new touchpad as well. Okay, so that is a lot of the things that I wanted to cover as far as the device itself, things on the inside and outside that are different about this device from our old MacBook Airs. Take a look at our next video as well so that you can find out what's different about our new operating system, which is Big Sur. What's different about that from the older one we were using, which was Catalina. So take a look at that video next. So one of the things you're going to notice is that your function keys up at the top of your keyboard are going to be a little bit different. Some things are the same. So for example, like your F1 and F2 keys are still going to control your brightness of your screen and your display. Let's take a look at the F4, F5, and F6 keys. So the F4 key is a quick way of getting to Spotlight on your computer. So if you want to quickly look or find something, you can simply tap the F4 key, and that's going to bring Spotlight search right up on your device. We can make it go away by touching it again as well. Okay. All right, the F5 function key up at the top of your screen, located between the 5 and the 6 numbers, is going to bring up dictation on your device. All right, this is great for doing speech to text, particularly if a student has a hard time with keyboarding, keep in mind this will work with any software that is on the device. In other words, like for example, if you've got Pages or Microsoft Office or Docs or whatever open, then you can use dictation to do speech to text. Speech to text does not work, or dictation does not work with, say, a Google Doc that is done online. Instead, you would use like voice typing that it's built into Google Docs. Okay, so here I have a Pages document open, and I can use my F5 key. And as you can see, the little microphone comes up and it begins to listen to what I'm saying, and it types what I am saying onto my document. Period. When I am finished, comma, I can click the little done microphone that's on my display, comma, or I can simply tap the F5 key on my keyboard again. Right, so that makes a very simple, and as you can see, it does a fairly nice job of identifying what I am saying and typing that out onto this document. Okay, and a quick way of accessing it without having to remember, oh, okay, what was that keystroke that I had to do to bring that up? You simply have it right there in your function keys at the top of your keyboard. Okay, another function key, the F6 key, is our do not disturb key. All right, and what that does is it keeps any notifications from appearing on your screen when it's on. All right, so let's say you've got your laptop connected to your Promethean board and you're showing your students something. So rather than, little notifications popping up or hearing the sound of notifications when you're getting a new email or that there's a software update or whatever, rather than those appearing, you won't see or hear those notifications occurring while Do Not Disturb is on. So when I tap the F6 key, and you can see up in the upper right hand corner in my menu bar that the little crescent moon icon is there. That means Do Not Disturb is on, and I can tap that if I want, and I can say how long do I want Do Not Disturb to be on. Do I want it for an hour, until this evening, until tomorrow, or do I always want it to be on? This is also a quick and easy way of getting to the notification preferences where you can turn on and off notifications for various pieces of software or tools that you're using. So that is the F6 function key.